Hi guys, thanks for stopping by. I am the UnFrumpy Mommy, and today I wanted to come to you to share how I like to start my flower seeds indoors for early spring gardening. So if you've seen my video on landscape curbing, then you'll recall that my flower beds in the front yard are really large, not to mention the ones out back. So it takes a lot of money to supply those beds with flowers. This past spring and summer, we spent a ridiculous amount of money, trying to get the beds to look really nice, and we did a good job. However, this growing season, I decided that I wanted to try something a little different. And actually, I've done it once before. At our very first house I did. I wasn't all that successful. I learned from my mistakes, so I wanted to give it another try this year. So I just got me some seeds and I started them indoors. And in doing that, I'll be able to, of course, cut costs. Plants can be upwards of $4 to $6 a pot, depending on the variety of plant that you choose. And then also, you're at the mercy of the nurseries. You have to wait until they get the plants in. Well, in doing it yourself, you can start them indoors. When the danger of frost has passed, you're able to go ahead and put your plants outside, and your yard is already off to a great start, looking pretty, while your neighbors are sitting around waiting for the nurseries to get theirs in. So that is what I did, and here's a look at how I did it. So now that you have made the commitment to start your flowers indoors, you need to obviously go ahead and purchase your seeds. You can purchase your seeds from Lowe's, you can purchase your seeds from Home Depot, or any of the number of online stores. And I'll leave the links to a few of the ones that I've used in the past in the description box below. So let's take a look at what I'll be putting out in my garden this year. So I'm going to have some nasturtiums out in my flower beds this year. I also actually started some basil here for the kitchen, some Shasta daisies, some zinnia, and some pampas grass. I love this stuff. It's a great screen for adding privacy. We live on a very busy street, and so I've actually put some out in the yard already. I did that, what was it, last spring? Late last spring I added the pampas grass, and this stuff is expensive. I think they were, for the ones I purchased, around $9 a pot, and I have something like 8 or 9 of them out in the front. So yeah, you do the math on that. This pack comes with 60 seeds, and they were $1.43. $1.43 for 60 seeds, so a great investment. You do the math on that. Okay, so once you have accumulated all of the seeds that you will be planting indoors, you need to find something to house your plants. So I chose this little Jiffy greenhouse. I love this little thing here. It's perfect for housing your little seedlings, and what you get with your Jiffy seed greenhouse is a tray, and inside the tray is a watering mat. This little thing right here, and mine's a little dirty because I've already used it. And so your watering mat is going to do just that. It's going to water your little seedlings, and it will wick away any extra water that may be there, and that's going to help to prevent root rot. All right, and then on top of your watering mat, you'll get this little tray here, and your tray is going to be filled with these little pellets. Well, my tray is empty. There are no pellets in it because I've already started some plants, and so mine's empty. But no fear, this little this little greenhouse is so neat because you can continue to reuse it. What Jiffy does is they sell these little refills. So this little box here was $3, and it comes with 36 of these little peat pellets. And these pellets are going to be your little starter mix for your seeds. So what you do is you take whatever number of pellets you're going to want to start with and drop them into the little cell. And I'll just do a few here just to show you how this works. So you want to place your pellets inside the little cell with the little circles facing up, and then you'll just add some water, and they should expand about 1 to 1.5 inches at their full height. So if you were going to do the entire tray, you could just take some water and just slowly pour over the top of all your cells, but because I only have 6 here, I'm just going to take a cup of warm water and place about a tablespoon on each pellet. So inside the pellets, there's just a little soil. and that's what's going to start to expand. So once you have added your water, you're going to want to let this sit for just a little while, and they'll expand, and I'll come back in just a few minutes and show you how the cells look at their maximum height. So it's been about 5 minutes and my little peat pellets have all expanded. If you have some that are still lagging a little bit behind, no worries. You can just continue to add as much water as you need to get them to reach your desired height. But I think mine are good to go. So what you want to do after they have reached their maximum height is go ahead and pour off any excess water, because your mat has absorbed all the water that it needs to keep your little seedlings happy. So we don't want the extra, because again, that will cause root rot. Okay, now that our little pellets are all expanded, we can go ahead and add in our seeds. Before adding our seeds, however, we want to carefully pull back just the top of the little mesh on the pellets. And it's very, very easy to do. Pull back the mesh, and this is going to create our opening for our seeds, and then eventually our little seedlings to come through. All right, so once you have them all open, they should look something like this. So then what we want to do is kind of go in and disturb just the top layer or so of the peat pellet. You want to rough it up just a little bit so that our seed will have a nice comfy bed to lay in. And here I am just using a skewer, but you can use your finger or maybe a popsicle stick. All right, so this is what it should look like once we have fluffed up our soil a little bit. All right. All right, so now that we have our soil all fluffed up, we want to go ahead and add in our seeds. So I've already have some little basil seedlings started, so why not go ahead and add a little bit more? I love cooking with basil. So here on a paper plate, I have labeled the type of seed this is, how long it takes to germinate. Basil takes somewhere around 5 to 10 days to germinate, and this is what they look like. Very tiny little black seeds. All right, so because they're so small, you may want to use the tip of your skewer to help you to get them over into your cell. So what I like to do is take my skewer, dampen it a little bit, take the tip of it, touch the seed, and it captures it. And you're just gonna gently lay it right on top of your soil, okay? You're just gonna repeat that. I like to put 2 to 3 seeds into my little cells here, just in case one doesn't germinate. You'll have a greater chance for success that way. So again, dampen your skewer and just touch your seed and place it gently on top of your cell. All right, if you don't want to use your skewer, you absolutely can just use your fingers, pick them up and drop them in. And again, I like to use 2 or 3 seeds per cell. That gives me a greater chance of success, just in case, you know, you get one that's kind of sick and it doesn't want to germinate. So once you have all of your little seeds laying gently on top of your little cells, you want to gently cover the cells with another type of soil. My go-to soil of choice has always been Miracle-Gro. I love all their different varieties, and this one right here is awesome for starting your little seedlings. It's great for getting your roots off. I have some seedlings that I've already kind of transplanted to other containers, and I'll show you those here in a minute, but the roots on them just look amazing, so I love this stuff. So what I like to do is place a little bit into another container and add some warm water. I think the warm water is great because you know your seedlings like a temperature from somewhere around 70 to 75 degrees to get them off to an awesome start. So that's what I've done. Now for your little greenhouse here, you only need just a little bit. And you don't want your soil to be overly wet. So I just have just a little bit here that I'm just going to kind of sprinkle over the top. I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit over the top, just enough to cover the seed. I'm not going to press it in or anything like that. I'm just crumbling it over the top. Just I've only done 6 here. I'm finished. So once you have them covered, you just want to replace your lid and you're all done. Now because I only have 6 in here, I know it's basil, all right? However, if you're going to use your greenhouse to plant a variety of different seeds, you want to be sure to label them. I picked these up from my local Lowe's, and what you want to do is write the type of plant that you have started, the number of days it takes to germinate, and that will cut down on any confusion when it's time to pull them out and start to transplant them. So don't forget, label, label, label. That's very important. So once you've replaced the lid, depending on the type of seeds or plants you're starting, you're either going to place your greenhouse in a light, warm place so that they can germinate, or a dark, warm place so they can germinate. All of the seeds that I started required darkness. I had a really great rate of success, such a great rate of success. I needed to have containers to transplant all of my little seedlings to, so that they can, you know, have the room that they needed to grow. The containers don't have to be expensive. You know, you can go out and you can buy all the different pots that, you know, Lowe's or Home Depot has. But depending on the number of plants that you're going to start, that can really get to be kind of expensive. But it doesn't have to be. I'll show you some of the ways that I've kind of gotten my seedlings off to a great start, and at the same time saving money. Because again, this spring and summer, I didn't want to have to spend a whole lot of money out in the yard this year. So let's take a look at some of the economical ways that I have decided to start my seedlings. Okay guys, for our first little economical flower pot or seedling pot, all we're going to need is 1 jar, some newspaper, a little tape, and some scissors. That's it. So this is going to be our newspaper pot. Now, if you do not have any newspaper, like myself, just use any little lightweight paper that you have around the house. That is fine. This is just a little flyer that I get in the mail from AFA. And I wasn't using it, so I said, you know what, it's very lightweight, it's very newspaper-like, so I'll use this. And this is what you're going to end up with. A biodegradable pot. You can take this and sit it right out in your garden, put a little hole in the bottom so that your roots can come through, and you are good to go. So let me show you how I made that. So what you're going to do is take your jar and place it on your paper. And you're going to want your paper to be about the length of 2 jars. So that's about right there. So take your jar, sit it on your paper, flip it over, and it should be about the width of 2 jars. And then you just simply want to cut right there. Right there. And this doesn't have to be all that neat. So cut away the excess paper, put that to the side. All right, so now you're going to replace your jar and just roll your jar in the paper. Not too tight, because you do want to be able to get your jar out, but just snug enough. Okay, and you're going to take tape. Boom. Boom. And boom. All right, sit your jar on the bottom. And it looks like I have a little extra paper, so I'm going to cut that off. All right, you don't want too much down there. And then you're just going to make it flat. No big deal, no real rhyme or reason. Again, it doesn't have to be real neat. You just want to get it flat enough so that it'll sit down. remove the jar, and you have a pot. That's it. Fill it with soil. I have some here that I've already filled with soil. You can also water them right in here. And because it's paper, it's going to naturally drain. All right. Keeping your wonderful little seedlings nice and fresh, giving them a lot of room to grow. And don't forget, again, to label, label, label. All right. Because it's paper, no big deal. Just write right on the paper. So that is my first economical pot that I can take and sit once they're ready to go outside and place them right into the ground, and this paper will break down over time. All right, so this is one of my little grow boxes here, and I have 3 of them. If you'd like for me to show you how I did this little grow box, just leave a comment below, and I'll be sure to do that. But so the light is on. So here inside, there's my little light. Here's my little box. There are all my little seedlings in there. I'm not going to pull it all the way off, but I think you can kind of see how well they're doing for 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, I think they are doing just amazingly well. So in here, these are all my zinnias. They are doing awesome. So proud. So they are coming along really nicely. All right, here's the second box, and in this box I have zinnia and basil. The basil are those tiny little guys right there. I need to thin some of them out. I think that's about 3 in that cup there, and there's some more. The little tiny ones, those are all basil, but the larger ones, those are also zinnia. And finally, guys, this is my last box. Here I have the lid all the way off. There's my little shop light. I have this box lined with aluminum foil, but I'm telling you, it really works. It really works. So in here I have more zinnia, and after a while I got tired of writing the word zinnia, so I'll just put a Z on the cup. So those are zinnia. There are my little holes at the bottom for drainage. And these over here are, these are Shasta daisies. These are the Shasta daisies. These took a long time to germinate. I think the germination time for these were like 20 days. So that's why they're so small. So I have 2 in there together, and whoever wins this fight, I'm gonna pull the weaker one out, and the strong one, he'll be able to go out into the garden. Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video on how I like to start my little seeds indoors in preparation for some early spring planting. And so, until next time, ladies, don't be a frumpy mommy. Bye, ladies.